Welcome to the Postal Mate webinar, FedEx QR codes with special instructions. My name is Karen Grant, and I'll be your instructor today. We were going to be joined by Sherry Jones of FedEx, but something came up last minute, and she is not able to attend with us, and we're very sorry because now you guys have to listen to just me, and I apologize for that on behalf of your ears. So I will try to do the best I can with the information that she has provided. We have had a lovely meeting earlier this week. FedEx has been fabulous in giving me some access so that I can show you things that they want you to know about to increase your foot traffic. So we're going to get started right away. You should have all received the 14.4 update and updated in PostalMate already. That was released on April 16th. You must have a supported 2D scanner. Now, honestly, you can use any 2D scanner you want, but if it doesn't work and it's not supported, don't call us. You're going to have to call the manufacturer and figure it out on your own. We only are going to have training on the supported scanners. The reason for that is because there's probably easily over 1,000 2D scanners out there, probably several thousand of them. We can't train on them all, so we have a select few that are sold by techshedusa.com that we will support. Make sure that you read the update guide. That's going to have all of your instructions. For most of you, that's the update guide that we emailed you and was also available when you updated. If you are a Package Hub franchise, however, you were emailed a separate update guide at the announcement time on April 16th. You will need to refer to that because it has special instructions for you. All right. FedEx QR codes in PostMate 14.4. Let's talk about those 2D scanners. If you scan this QR code with your phone, you're going to go right to TechShed USA and get that where you can get that 2D scanner. You don't have to buy from them, but at least if you do buy from them, you know that not only we will help you, but so will TechShed help you if you have any issues setting it up. About 50% of scanners that come to you from every source, whether it's Amazon, whether it's TechShed, because they come from the factory that way, are not properly programmed to scan out of the box. So you will need to program it. Programming is easy, but it helps if you know which programming scans to scan for your needs here. You'll need the default scan and a return cartridge scan. Those are the two that you're going to want. So please go to TechShed USA. That's where you can see the list, and you can also order there if you are interested. All right, moving right along. Some of this is repeat, but we're going to get into the new stuff really quickly. To enable the FedEx QR code, you will need to go into settings on your main or master workstation. You'll go to drop-off settings, select FedEx, and you'll see a new item down at the bottom where it says enable FedEx QR code drop-offs. And we put a beta tag on this simply because we were not able to test it really thoroughly. We didn't have a lot of test codes to use. So we are expecting to be surprised by some results, some QR codes that we're not as familiar with or didn't get to test. So we did put a beta tag on that. Make sure to click that save button to enable it. You'll want to do the same thing for USPS Label Broker if you're going to use those. Again, if you're a Package Hub franchise, refer to your update guide that was emailed to you. Okay. All right. Once you click on drop off after doing everything properly, you're going to have a new button there. That button is for printing the QR code label. So you will click on that in order to scan. You'll scan your QR code. It will come up here as a lot of funny numbers and characters. That's perfectly normal. You'll click, if your carriage return is set up properly, you won't have to click OK, but if you do, just click OK. It will print the QR code label or the actual label, sorry, and then you will take that label, place it on the package, and then you will scan it in as a drop-off. So, and you want to do that for two reasons. One, to give your customer a receipt, but two, so that you receive, you have a backup plan for receiving compensation for FedEx. FedEx currently, the compensation you receive is based on what the driver scans in. So if you are shortchanged on your scans, it's because your driver may not be scanning them in properly. Please bear in mind you cannot manually enter scans for FedEx and expect to get proper results. A manual enter for a QR code will not work at all. And a manual enter for a regular barcode, you will have to select whether it's FedEx Express or FedEx Ground in the drop down on the drop off screen. So this is the big question. Which FedEx QR codes will work? Not all of them will work. So you need to know this up front. There are a number of FedEx programs for the QR code, and in these programs, you're participating in most of them. As this grows, you will be invited to participate in more. So the goal is that eventually you'll be able to accept 100% of all FedEx QR codes. As of today, my understanding is that you should expect to get a label from about 7 out of 10 QR codes. So for those other 3, you're going to need to turn those people away and send them to the nearest FedEx office. You will not know whether you will get a label or not until you scan it. There's nothing visible on the customer's phone that's going to tell you. So you're going to scan it. If you don't immediately get that label, then you need to send them away. If you do, place it on the box and then scan it as a drop-off. Easy peasy. Again, if the label does not print, do not accept the package. There's no way out of that circle. That's a vicious circle. We're going to have a package and no label, no way to get a label, and now you don't know how to get a hold of the customer either. Now you're left with a package with not knowing what to do with it. So if you do not get a label, do not accept the package. All right, this is what you came here for, and this is really important. So in our industry, the hardest thing about getting your profits to grow is not what your margins are set at or what you sell in your store. It's actually getting people into your store. People have been in business for 20, 25 years, and it happened to me in my stores too. We'll go in, gosh, how long have you been here? Is this new? And no, I've been here for 18 years. Really? I never noticed before. That we hear it all the time. It's like they come through your lobby and they pass 25 boxes on display and come up to your counter and say, "Do you sell boxes?" No, we just display them. We don't sell them. Of course we sell boxes. I mean, that is kind of what we deal with a lot. Getting people or potential customers into your store is really key to having your store grow. Now, our drop-off customers, look, that's for you to decide, but I'm going to tell you that I do 90% of my shopping online because I don't like going into stores. I don't have time to go into stores. And so 90% of all of my shopping is done online. That also means there's a significant number of returns that I have to do. I have a Postalmate store that I go to nearby that I regularly do drop-offs at. Now, I occasionally will actually do a shipment there and pay them as well. I probably do 8 drop-offs for every 1 shipment or 10 drop-offs for every 1 shipment I do. And you know what? They take my drop-offs and everybody else's with a smile on their face. And because of that, I come back there and I do my actual shipments with them because I want to give them that business. That's what you're looking for with these, is the idea that these customers will turn into shipping customers eventually. Will they be bringing in a lot of drop-offs before they ship? Yep, they will. And they will come back and pay money based on how you treat them. So it's up to you to either be the store that does it all for them or send them to another store that will be. And I would rather be the store that does it all for them. This is an opportunity that I don't want you to miss. So the FedEx QR codes are available now. And there is an opportunity we'll talk about today, how to get on the FedEx locator as a QR code accepting location. And that's really important. That you will see an increase of your traffic, daily traffic significantly. So like today, maybe you're receiving 1, 2, or 3, sorry, I keep touching my mic, 1, 2, or 3 scans a day, QR code scans a day. I think you could see that easily multiply by 3, 5, 10, I don't know. I'm expecting probably that number to increase to about 7 to 10. Now, you folks in smaller communities, maybe less, and bigger communities, maybe more. It also depends on whether you have a FedEx office nearby and people are trained to go to that. But the idea is that now people will be able to find you because you're on that FedEx locator as a place that accepts the QR code scans. And remember, FedEx will expand the programs. And when that happens, you're going to want to take more things. Now, there are programs available for the FedEx office store. And of course, you know, they own that. So they're going to do all those all programs there. But that you may, that may be a little bit more difficult. For example, somebody just brings in a shirt and you have to, you know, kind of verify that it is a shirt and it kind of looks like the shirt's description on the screen and stuff like that. That is not a program that's available to you right now. That's called Packageless Verify. Each carrier actually calls it something different. Here at Postmate, we typically call it Packageless Verify. That is not a program available to you now. I can honestly say that I believe that you will have the opportunity to participate in that program in the future. I don't know if future is months away or like in the next couple of years, but I have pretty good confidence that that will be a program that is open to you in the future. Again, I can't remind you enough, if you don't get a label, don't accept the package. I do have a couple of polls I'm going to run on behalf of FedEx, so please participate in this so I can get this information back to them. They're looking at expanding the programs, and they want to know about your behavior in your store. So this first one I'm going to launch, and that's, do you give your customer a receipt for FedEx drop-offs? And then please participate in this poll. And I won't take up too much of your time, but I will show you the results. Hurry, hurry. I'm going to close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, closing the poll. And I will share that with you. And you guys are awesome. A lot of you do it pretty much every time. So that's really great results. All right, I have one more really quick poll. And this one is more for us so we know. What kind of a receipt do you give for drop-offs? Do you give only paper, only email, or some of each? Okay. And I will close this poll in 5, 4, 3. I know some of you are going, wait, you can do an email? Yes, you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, closing the poll. All righty. And that's good. Most of you give paper, but some do some of each. So perfect. Thank you so much for that. We'll get started in the meat and potatoes of this now. And we're going to go, first of all, I'm going to go live to this place, but I'm also going to show it on the screen so that you can see what to do. So you're going to go to FASCnet.com. That's the website. And I'm going to have a screen up here in just a little while. I want you to have your cell phones ready so you can take a snapshot of all the instructions, but we're going to go through it first. So you're going to go to your FASCnet.com and you're going to go to My Info and, My Info and Update Profile. And I think my slides got messed up in the transfer here. You're going to make sure Postal-Mate is selected. And then underneath that, you're going to see, are you offering QR code returns? And this is where the magic happens. And you're going to select yes. And there I've blown it up real big for you. So make sure that you select yes. And that's how you'll be put on the locator for FedEx that will send you more foot traffic. Now, please do not go here and say yes until you have a supported 2D scanner. I don't want you to have to turn away a bunch of business because your scanner hasn't been ordered yet or hasn't arrived yet or you haven't programmed it yet or whatever. So please don't do this until after you have a scanner that will scan the QR codes. The old 1D scanners that you might have been using for 15 years in your store do not work for QR codes. Some of you who have newer scanners or their stores aren't very old purchased a 2D scanner originally, and so you are ready to go in most cases. You may have to reprogram it, but probably not, so it's probably fine. You kind of don't know until you scan one. So make sure that you try that. Get on the locator. This is what's going to send more traffic to your store. And then once you select that, you're going to have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen. Oops, Let's see if I can go back here. Sorry. Yeah. You're going to scroll to the bottom of the screen. You're going to do as I say, not as I did. Let's see here. I knew I messed this up coming in here. There we go. So at the very bottom of that screen, so where you check marked the QR code, there is there's an I certify right here and a submit button right here. Make sure that you do that by scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I thought I was so clever putting that in, and clearly I worked until 10 or 11 last night putting this together. So the question has come up, and I think most of you know the answer for this, but for you newbies that may not know it, can you charge for a QR code label? And the answer is absolutely not under any circumstance. If you are an FASC, you must do this at no charge. No, let me rephrase that. You may not charge for creating a label with a QR code. Now, if there's other services you do, you package an item or tape a box, can you charge? Of course you can, but you cannot charge for accepting the drop-off or creating a QR code label for FedEx. Okay, I promised you a quick way of just taking a screenshot or a snapshot with your phone. So take a cell phone shot or a screenshot. These are those instructions for FASCnet.com. We are going to go there live so that you can see it, and make sure that you follow these instructions. That way you don't have to watch the whole webinar all over again. Before we go live, I want to talk real quickly about a couple of known issues in PostalMate 14.4. We are looking at correcting these. So there are a few countries where you will process a package and you will not get a label, but you will get a customs form. So a tracking number was created with the carrier. A customs form may have printed, but you did not get a label. And that, again, is a known issue. The workaround for that is to go to FedEx.com and do that package. This happened because we moved to the FedEx commercial invoice from the PostalMate commercial invoice. And some countries, we also moved to completely electronic invoices in the background. Some countries don't accept electronic invoices, and so those are the countries that we're not able to get labels for at this time. That will be corrected in an update. I'm anticipating probably not this week, maybe next week for that, because we have to make sure we test it thoroughly. But that's what's happening on that. Bear in mind, I cannot say this strong enough. When a commercial invoice prints, which is with every international shipment, you must still include the paper commercial invoice. Even though we are sending electronic to those countries who accept it, if a paper one prints, include it, and a paper one always prints, so include it. If you use FedEx.com and you use the commercial invoice that printed out of PostalMate, make sure if there's a tracking number on that commercial invoice that you change it. This only affects FedEx at this point, and it's only to some countries. So if you, again, process a shipment through FedEx and you don't get a label, this is what's going on. One other small issue that is much more rare is what I'm calling the FedEx rating loop. So we put in a safety feature so that if a rate came back in a quote, so let's say it quoted you a wholesale rate of $15, and then when you pushed finish to get the label, the rate that comes back with the label was different than at $15. We actually put a safety feature in there that would void that label and have you re-rate it, just in case the rate came back wrong the first time. Well, because that happens, but it's very rare. I think we've seen 5 of them over the last 6 months, so it's not a lot. But unfortunately, what this can do, and we've had a handful of stores that it's happened to, just on particular packages, it'll send you into a rating loop where you'll keep getting that same message. If that rating loop happens to you, it's really weird workaround for that. Just enter the weight manually. So it's actually the weight that's causing this loop. This will also be corrected in an update. When we correct the other one, we'll correct this one as well. So take the package off the scale and just manually enter the weight, just round it up. If it's 14 pounds, 3 ounces, just round it up to 15 because that's the same charge, and you'll be golden. You'll get your label. Okay. I'm going to escape out of this and we're going to go to the FedEx website. Now, this is FASCnet.com is the FedEx website. You're going to have a username and a password that you should know. However, I believe FASCnet requires you to change it every 180 days. So that's twice a year. If you haven't, you may have to change it now so you can, when you log in, it'll probably tell you to change it. All right, once you get here, you can see this is your store information, your store hours, all kinds of interesting data, new things over here that you need to know about. But you're going to go over to the left to My Info and Update Profile. Okay. Now this is all that this information is good. If you need to change anything, you can change it here. A lot of this stuff shows up on the website. And then right down here, automated shipping system, you're going to drop this down and select Postalmate. And then are you offering QR code returns? You're going to select yes. And then we're going to scroll, 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 scroll. And then we're going to click I certify, blah, 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 and then submit. And you're done. That's how you get on the QR code locator. So I'm going to go backwards. We're going to go through it quickly one more time. So once you log in, you go to My Info, Update Profile, scroll down, select Postalmate. Yes, you're offering QR codes. Scroll, 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 scroll. I certify and submit. While you're here in the FASCnet.com, if you haven't been here a while or if you've never explored it, this is an opportunity to get all kinds of information, training videos. You can find out who your account rep is. You can get additional information on your agreement with FedEx. Your discounts are here. And then you can also get into the marketing toolbox, which I used to love, where you can get free in-store signage and tools and resources and all kinds of fun things. Email marketing, they used to, let's see if they still do, if I can get in here. So they used to have, they have things that you can tweet out and stuff, and pictures that you can use and all kinds of things for your social media and what have you. So do look around in here for things, and they have print ads that you can use. This is available to you. You can print these and have them. You can do postcards, you can do posters, you can whatever. But check all this stuff out. It's a lot of really good information to promote FedEx in your store. And it really helps your store to look official because we are authorized ship centers for FedEx, and we want to look like we are. We don't want to look like the bumpkin on the corner. We want to look official. So FedEx gives you that opportunity. So do take advantage of all the features in FASCnet.com. All right. Having said that, I'm going to see if I'm smart enough to go back to, hang on here. There we go. Oh, I did it. Questions and answers. So this is an opportunity to go questions and answers. I did promise that this would be a mini webinar. So this is as short as I can make them. So we'll take a few questions and answers. And then again, you will be emailed this webinar or a link to watch this webinar later. Okay, so Niraj, if you have, he's updated to 14.4. He's not getting the drop-off setting. That would be because you did not read the update guide. I'm chastising you just a little bit there. Sorry about that, but you know, the mother in me has to do that. I'll walk you through that here. Is there a list of current countries requiring tax ID? Good question. We're not going to keep track of it, but I can tell you offhand, it is absolutely Mexico, Brazil, I want to say Chile, and Peru. I think it's those four, particularly, and probably in that order as far as how strict they are. So, but we will not be keeping track of that. We expect that to grow. To get this set up, again, you're going to go into Tools, Postalmate Settings, Drop-off Settings. You're going to drop this down to FedEx, the first FedEx you see. Maybe I may not be updated on this. And there's a new checkbox right here that says enable for QR codes. So I'm probably not updated on this one. Apologies. All right. If you are a package hub location, you will not have this check mark available. Your update guide that was emailed to you tells you that. So if you are a package hub location, your instructions are different. Please read the update guide that was emailed to you. Okay. Hopefully that clears up about half of you at least that are saying this, probably all of you. So Lewis says, Postamate sends the customers electronic commercial invoices now. That's why I print only one invoice. No, 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 no. You must include 3 copies of the commercial invoice. The front one at least has to be signed. It's nice if all 3 are. So Postamate will automatically print 4, but you can change it on your printer to be 1 if you want, but you are not doing the correct thing by including only 1. 3 copies of the commercial invoice must be included with every international shipment. End of conversation. Let's see, where do I find, sorry, this again, this will be, a link to rewatch this will be emailed to you. Okay, and then you also want to do the same thing on USPS for Label Broker if you want that one. Do the FedEx drivers understand these packages have to be scanned? Our drivers don't scan anything. So they should understand that they, especially your ground drivers, well, actually both. Your FedEx Express driver is supposed to come in, scan his barcode, and then scan all of your packages. Your FedEx ground driver, as I understand it, unless something has changed, is supposed to come in, key in his keypad, his location, that he's at your location, scan every package, have you agree and sign his keypad thing, and then he's supposed to leave. I am very aware that they don't always follow that protocol. It is possible that protocol has changed, by the way. That's and it used to be in your FASCnet. Those instructions were in there, so you could see them. So you might want to hunt around in there and see. But that is how it's supposed to be. I am very, very aware that there recently has been some significant discrepancies in what you are paid by FedEx for drop-offs and what your count in Postalmate says. Let me stress to you, when you go in here and you enter a tracking number, let's say you manually enter it, okay, and you go okay, and it will come up as a FedEx. Let's say it was a FedEx one. But it happened to be a FedEx ground. The only way Postalmate will know if it's a FedEx ground is if you scan it with a programmed scanner. If you manually enter it, every single time it will come up for FedEx as a FedEx, even if it's a FedEx ground. The reason for that is that in the scan are hidden numbers that you can't see that are not listed below that tell Postalmate it's a FedEx ground. When you manually enter those numbers, Postalmate does not know it's a FedEx ground. You would have to drop this down and select FedEx ground. That's why some of your reports are wrong for FedEx ground and FedEx Express. So you have 2 choices. You either always scan them in and never manually enter them in, or if you manually enter them in, you always make sure to drop this down and select FedEx ground if it's a FedEx ground. That's it. Those are your 2 choices. This is not a software issue. This is how it's set up by FedEx. This is the scan. Okay. Our FedEx ground drivers have had issues with their keypads. Yeah, I can't help you with that. You're going to have to keep a really, really accurate count of your drop-offs and recording them, and you're probably going to have to do regular disputes with FedEx. FedEx is working on a longer-term solution on that, and so hopefully at some point in the future, we won't have to rely on the drivers for this. Bimal, yes, but I'm hoping I'll come back to that. Let me get through the FedEx questions first, since this is focusing on FedEx. Um, UPS pickup for, yeah, we're not talking about UPS today. Sorry. This is the FedEx webinar. We're focusing on them. And that's because I promised FedEx. This is their time to shine. This is all about FedEx. If I scan a FedEx QR code that's going ground, but Postmate says it's just FedEx, you should be able to always drop this down and select the right carrier. That this drop down doesn't become inactive. So please go ahead and drop that down. It shouldn't have to happen that way, but Garrett, that's why we put a beta tag on QR codes, is because we have not been able to test all of the QR codes. We don't know how the label will print and what it will look like and how it will scan in yet. So we're learning along with you, and we will make adjustments as we go on to make this as accurate as possible for you. If you do have a label that scans funny or just doesn't scan properly for some reason, if you can make a copy of that label and send it to us, we can test it. Please do not take a picture with your cell phone. That will not work. You cannot scan from a picture of a barcode. It needs to be a photocopy like on your copier and then emailed into us. Jason, those are things that you can enable on your Postalmate. So you have a lot to learn about all the cool features in Postalmate that you can enable. And I always have as many things turned on mine for exactly this purpose, so that you can see what else is available for you. So Trina says, my FedEx compensation shows 0. Shouldn't it be a dollar amount? It can be, yes. So this amount here, so when you're in your setup for drop-off compensation, you cannot, as long as you're in FASC, you cannot charge for accepting drop-offs. So you'll go into Tools, Postalmate Settings, and then in drop-off settings, you have the ability to enter the compensation right here of what the carrier pays you. So for FedEx, like FedEx Ground, for most of you, that's 75 cents. It could be different. You would need to check your carrier agreement, but generally it's 75 cents. For FedEx Express, you can enter the amount there, which is generally $1. It may be different, but generally for most of you, it is $1 for drop off. And that way in your reports, it will calculate the dollar amount for the packages you accept. Again, that assumes that you're correctly selecting FedEx Ground versus FedEx Express for each package. Hold on. Okay. So yes, within 14.4, when you're doing a QR code scan, it is a 3-part process. You're going to come in here, you're going to scan it, and I don't have one here, so I'm going to lie to the system. You're going to click OK. It's probably going to tell me it's not a label. It would print the label, and then you're going to come here and you're going to scan it as a drop-off. Okay. The reason for that is multifold. What we have found is that some QR codes cannot be transferred into the drop-off because they include RMA numbers and other things in them. And so in order to make sure that you receive proper compensation, it is now a 3-part process. Scan the QR code, print and put on the label, scan it as a drop-off. Okay, so 3-part process. We scan in every package. I'm sorry, naturally with over 1,000 of you, the questions are coming in fast and furious. Oh, spell check protocols. Okay, somewhere I put protocols and didn't spell it correctly. Sorry about that. My FedEx drivers are not employed by FedEx. Well, essentially they are. They have a contract. So you're with FedEx Ground. They have contract owners. So there is a contract there between FedEx and FedEx Ground, and whoever your driver is, works for the person that has the contract. So while they are not FedEx employees, they still have to abide by the FedEx rules, and they can get in big trouble for not doing so. So if you are having an experience with your drivers where they are not following the correct protocols, you could reach out to fascteam.com. So your fascnet.com probably has an email where you can reach out, and but you would want to tattle on them because you need them to be doing correct procedures in your store. Brad, I will. So this is referring to the USPS label broker QR code. Changing tracks here. It assumes that your store zip code is the return address because most of the people in your community or that are around your store share the same zip code with you. But for those of you who have several zip codes in your area, your customer may come in with a package for label broker, and you may get a pop-up that says enter the return zip code. That is the zip code usually of the return address. Usually that's your customer's home or business return address zip code. Occasionally, very rarely, it's going to be a mother company of your company. So for example, I work for Postalmate, which is owned by Maersk. Maersk's headquarters are in New Jersey. I'm in Arizona. If I get a package that's a QR code label broker and I go to my local store and it says it needs the return zip code, that return zip code could be mine from my home. It could be mine from my office, which are both different from the store I use, but it also could be my New Jersey home office, which is not my home office. It's the home office, which would be a completely different zip code. So you might have to work with that customer a little bit. These are the same requirements as would be on Label Broker, the website at USPS.com. So it's nothing new. It's the same. If you go there, it's going to ask the same thing. So you'll have to work with your customer a little bit to figure it out, but it is the return address, not where it's going. Now I got lipstick on my microphone and it's all my fault. Sorry about that. Okay. I understand that we cannot charge a drop-off fee, but can we charge for printing the label for a FedEx drop-off? No, absolutely not. You cannot. And in fact, the carriers, FedEx and UPS, will give you free labels. I suppose if you want to start paying them for that, you could work out a deal with them. I'm lying. You can't work out a deal. I'm being facetious here. Those labels are really, really expensive if you buy them. So they're doing the best they can by you. You cannot charge for creating a label or entering a drop-off, period. If you package that thing, you can charge for that. If you tape that thing, you can charge for that. If you want to send them email notification, you can charge for that. If you want to add insurance through an alternate insurance carrier, you can charge for that. But for the drop-off, the normal processes in a drop-off, you cannot charge for any of it, period. Okay. Nancy, that's unusual. I have thousands of stores that are doing that successfully, so I don't know what's going on. We tried to process a QR code from Happy Returns USPS. It would not process, had to go to the Label Broker website. That is weird, but I will tell you, Happy Returns is owned by UPS. So I don't know. Again, remember I put a beta tag on this. It is possible that not all QR codes will print properly through Label Broker. But again, if you can take a photocopy from your copier and email that to us, we can use it to test and try to make Postalmate better. Terry, that's perfect. Can I scan a screenshot of a QR code? Can I scan a screenshot? Probably, yes. QR code capability is much better than barcodes. Barcodes have to actually can't be a picture. Is FedEx Ground and Express, well, they can be combined. So the long-term goal by FedEx, as I understand it, is to combine FedEx Ground and FedEx Express. However, that has only happened in practical circumstances in a few areas. So as of now, we are told they are continuing to be separate companies, separate entities, and as a postal mate, we have been advised to keep them separate. I understand that I have 5 of you that probably receive one pickup for both FedEx Ground and FedEx Express. Things will not change in Postalmate until FedEx tells us to change it. So don't ask us to change it. We're not changing it until we get told. Oh, good information, Casey. Okay. FedEx label sent by email for printing can be charged. I no, no, you cannot charge for creating a label. Guys, you're obligated by contract to do drop-offs for customers. Quit trying to squeeze pennies out of it. Do a good service. I know that it's taking you extra minutes. That one is, I can't tell you absolutely no, but my instinct says no. Yeah, my instinct says no. I mean, could you charge 15 cents for the label that prints out on your copier? Maybe, but more than that, I would have a problem with. I just had a customer say we were listed as a drop-off location for FedEx and we could not take hers. Um, I feel like we could accept more, but I'm assuming you're a package hub. Nothing has changed in that. So those of you who are package hub locations, you are not using Postalmate technology for this. You are using package hub technology. To my knowledge, they have not made any changes to their technology. It's the same before 14.4 as after 14.4. The only difference is in how you enter it in Postalmate. Once you click on this button and scan it in, we send it to package hub technology. So nothing has changed there. Can we charge to print for USPS labels? Yes, there is no limit on charging for USPS labels. If you are insistent that you need to charge for doing labels for USPS, you can. I think for most stores, that's a bad idea, but I can tell you that if you are in New Jersey, New York, really this is primarily East Coast, that's probably more accepted than West Coast or in the South. East Coast is there. People are used to getting charged for everything that happens, and so I would say in general it's not a good idea. But for some of you in certain locations, it might be okay. You get no compensation for USPS. That is correct. You would be doing it as a service for your customer to keep them in your store. Remember, I can't say it strong enough. If you turn them away, they will find some store that won't turn them away. So you have to make a business decision on whether you're going to be selective about which customers are yours or you're going to make all people in your neighborhood your customers. Again, can I charge to print labels from my printer if it's a FedEx label? Not for a 4x6, for sure not on your thermal label, and on your, if you print it, I don't think you can do any other way. Postmate doesn't print to a, no. So the short answer is no. And quit asking. If it's a FedEx QR code you're turning into a label, don't charge for it. FedEx will get very angry with you. And they find out. This stuff gets reported. They find out about it. Trust me on this. What if the customer doesn't have the box to send the item back in? I have to assume we can charge them to pack it. Absolutely. Of course you can. That is not that's not part of the process. That's related, but it's not part of you can charge for packing, you can charge for the box, you can charge for the peanut. You just can't charge for creating the label for them from the QR code. Yes, the program is programmed to go straight to your label printer, your 4x6 label printer. It should print out with no problem for the QR codes. And all right, So this person had a Hollister QR return that did not work. Again, I've told you in this webinar, about 7 out of 10 FedEx QR codes will work. About 3 out of 10 are in FedEx programs that you are not yet a part of. We anticipate in the future, FedEx will invite you to participate in those programs. Their goal is to get you to 100% or as close to 100% of the programs they have as possible so that you won't have to turn anybody away. But at this point, expect to turn away approximately 3 in 10. Not exactly 3 in 10. It might be 5 in 10 today and 2 in 10 tomorrow, but approximately 3 in 10. Okay. All right, so I think we're pretty much through this. I'm going to close this webinar. We will have some upcoming things. I want to share with you, we will be at the RS Expo and we will begin teaching classes on Wednesday. I think that's May 28th, if my memory serves. So if you are interested, this is where you get the most possible instruction for PostalMate. We'll be doing a number of classes all day Wednesday. We'll be popping in some classes on Thursday and Friday and maybe a couple on Saturday. We will be at the expo and have a booth there. We will have a very big new feature that we will be introducing and hopefully showing at Expo for our summer release. So we're hoping that you can be there and see that. We believe that this feature will bring you a lot of new money. Money is big. So we love anything that brings you money. So I want to thank you for everything. If there were additional questions you have, please email them to support@postalmate.com or support@pcsynergy.com, and we will try to get your questions answered. Thank you, everybody. And I'm sorry that Sherry wasn't here. I missed having her, and you had to put up with me. So hopefully your week is better than it was today. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.